What's going on, guys, and welcome to September's episode of Plus Club, the show where we play the games offered on PlayStation Plus throughout the month, and at the end of the month, we talk about it. My name's Seth, and joining me today is Chevy. On my left, your right. Chevy, hopefully you are excited to talk about the games we played in September, which were Need for Speed Heat, Granblue Fantasy Versus, and TOEM, and hopefully you're excited about the games we'll be playing in October. How you doing?
Doing good.
We haven't been getting a whole lot of sleep lately because we've been doing a lot of late night filming.
I've been actually getting more sleep than normal, so I don't know if that's a
Maybe it's beneficial.
good or bad thing.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I've been getting less sleep than normal lately, so.
Yeah, I mean, I usually sleep like 4 or 5 hours a night, so.
Four's rough for me to do.
It's rough
Five,
for me too.
I don't want, but I can do.
Yeah, lately I've been getting about 7 though, so.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it has been good. So, but other than that, I'm pretty good. As far as the PlayStation Plus games that we're about to talk about, I do have some opinions, at least on 2 of them that I can talk about. One of them I'll probably be, well, we'll see how it goes. I played it, but I don't really have deep thoughts on it. And then next month, to be honest, just seems kind of easy.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. I'm very excited to talk about these games. I have a lot of opinions about them. And next month seems kind of easy, which I'm not complaining about. And with that, let's talk about it. In October, we're going to be playing Hot Wheels Unleashed, Injustice 2, and Super Hot, which, I'll just dive in real quick. I've played Super Hot, but only in VR. I think it came out originally not in VR, so... I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the only way I've played it. So I have played the game. I'm not going to talk about that, but I expect this is going to be the same but very different. One thing that's kind of weird about Super Hot in VR is because the game, in case you don't know, is a game where you have to get through scenarios with like weapons and guns and stuff, and every time you move, the scene moves. Anytime you pause, it pauses, at least in VR. And so there was a lot of like sitting still in weird positions that like my muscles after a while were like started I was like, this is almost a workout. I feel like I'm doing like yoga or something. So I don't think I'm gonna have that issue here, but I'll be very curious to see what it's like with a controller. It's kind of weird. Injustice 2, I think I played before. I for sure played the first game. So excited to play that. I'm a fan of the first game and everything these guys make. And then Hot Wheels Unleashed is a game I would probably never buy. So I'm excited to see what a Hot Wheels game is like in modern times. So I'm stoked to try out all 3 of these games, but they're all kind of smaller experiences, which after the last 2 months we've had, I'll probably appreciate that. I'll be able to just hop in and play these and not have to invest a lot of time unless I really want to. So nice and easy month in October.
Yeah. I've never played, any of these. I have played Injustice 1, so I do have a little bit of an idea on that one, but I am looking forward to trying the second one because I did enjoy the first one. As much as I'm not necessarily a fan of the subject matter, I do enjoy fighting games to an extent. Super Hot is a game I've seen 1.5 million people play. It looks fun. Be cool to actually try it out for once. I am curious if the PSVR works with this version or not, though I don't know if I want to bring that back out or not. And then Hot Wheels Unleashed. I'm assuming it's a racing game, but the style of which I am not sure. But if it's kind of like a goofier style game, I'd probably welcome that more than a serious racer. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm hoping it's like a crazy arcade racer type game because all I've been playing is in the last year Gran Turismo, which is a sim, and Forza Horizon 5, which has kind of ruined me for most racing games when it comes to arcade games. So I need something that's not those.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping it is embracing the craziness of what you would assume from a Hot Wheels game. So
Agreed.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments. Are you guys excited for October's games? Is there any you're looking forward to? Any of them you could skip over? Any of them you're curious about? Let me know everything you think about in the comments below. All right, let's jump into the games that we did actually play in September. And again, that was Need for Speed Heat, Granblue Fantasy Versus, and TOEM. Let's start with Let's see. Need for Speed Heat. If you didn't get a chance to play Need for Speed Heat, it's a Need for Speed game that is, I don't even know what like the actual plot is about outside of I know that you are going to a racing city that kind of, it was in like Florida or something. Florida? Let's try that word again. And there's a racing event going on there. And there's illegal races that happen at night, and the cops don't like that. You play as some dude that's involved with that. I literally do not pay attention to the plot at all, so I apologize to anyone who's really into the lore of this game.
Some dude that you pick.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a Need for Speed game. It's definitely on the Frostbite engine, and I'll have a lot to say about that. And it involves you picking a starter car, and then as you progress, you obviously unlock new cars and upgrades. But the way it works, something kind of interesting with this that is its thing, is during the day, you can do day races, which are official races, and you get money for those races. But then you can also go out and race at night, and there's a risk here. But as you race, you get reputation, which allows you access to more and more things. So yeah, you're getting the money to buy the things, and you're getting the reputation to get the better stuff.
EXP money.
Exactly. And you get to choose in between whatever you need. You can do that. But at night, there is the risk of having cops that chase after you. And I believe you get multipliers the longer you race at night without getting caught. But if you do get caught, it deducts money from you. So there is a risk and reward system that I think is, I'll get into my actual thoughts in a sec, but at least they tried something, I guess. But it is a Need for Speed game, so it emphasizes the speed of racing, of course, as you expect from a Need for Speed game. We both played it, and let's start with you when it comes to Need for Speed Heat in September. That's the month.
All right. Well, this is the one I'll probably have the least to say on.
That's fine. I don't have much to say about it either.
So I honestly think that this game is probably the definition of it's fine. It definitely feels very arcadey, which is fine. That's the type of games Need for Speed are anyways. They have the police mechanic that they got rid of for a long time, and then people wanted it back when it went back, and now it's just been in multiple iterations of the game since they reintroduced it.
I'm of the mindset there's two things that make Need for Speed individual of other racing games, and that's the high-speed, high-octane emphasis. They've always been really good about making everything look really fast when you're driving, and cops chasing you. Yeah. Without those two things, you just got a racing game.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, yeah, bringing back the cops, I feel like makes sense.
For sure. It has the, for lack of a better way to word this, the Forza Horizon thing going on.
Yep.
Where you go around,
first thing I thought.
You can kind of free drive, and then you can go up to certain points, and then when you get to them, you can do those events. And I don't have a problem with that. I love Forza Horizon, and it is neat to see someone else have a take on that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's worth mentioning, though, Forza Horizon, and I'm not saying you implied this, but Forza Horizon didn't invent that system of an open world racing game, but it did set the bar for it. It owns that at this point. So it is interesting when you play something like that now, you're like, this is like Forza Horizon.
Yeah.
Whichever one you're playing.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, the little bit of racing I did, I mean, it felt like an arcade racer. I think I kind of already said that, but, I didn't love it, I didn't hate it. It did what it needed to do.
Do you remember what your starting car was that you picked?
It was, I think I kind of went initial D-esque on it.
Because I picked the BMW.
Yeah, I didn't do that. It was it a Toyota? I was thinking like an old, 90s style Japanese car, and I can't remember.
Huh. I'm sure somebody will know.
I could be just completely mistaken, but I was pretty sure I picked a Japanese car. Anyways.
I probably should have.
Doesn't matter. It did not control like how I liked racing games, so I had to take a couple races to kind of adapt to the way it played.
I was playing for quite a bit, and I kept unlocking cars. But I was like, I have to make this one good, though, because I can't just buy that or work on that car. I'm invested in this car. So, I just kept upgrading the car I was already driving. So,
yeah,
for the most part. So, I was, playing the starting car for a long time because I was, so unhappy with the way it drove. I was like, I gotta upgrade this. There's no way this car drives this bad.
Yeah, at first I was having a rough time because mostly the turning seemed pretty bad on my car.
Hey, me too.
So
That seemed to be a thing.
but yeah, has a story going on with cutscenes and whatnot. I quite honestly, after I watched the first one, just started skipping them because I mostly just watched it to see what they were doing with it.
I mean, like every racing game ever nowadays, it's just like you show up and they're like, hey, rookie, you're trying to get into this racing circuit? Well, you're going to have to make a name for yourself. Let's get you proving yourself out in the race. And then you're doing like, all right, you belong now. Now get out there and make some money.
Yeah, I think it's a little weird maybe because like when I'm playing specifically a racing game, I don't care about the driver. I care about the vehicle and the races. So why not emphasize more on like maybe showing off like the car and the map and stuff like that as an introduction to the game, and then just have like voices happening as you're driving and stuff. It's good to have some kind of story, just because like it's something to kind of to add on to the experience for sure. But I don't think maybe this is just an EA thing, but having like the dude that is going through a career or something all the time is it's like whatever for me. So
it's funny because in sports games in general, and I'm including racing in that, whenever somebody tries to make a story about a character rising up through the ranks or whatever, or getting better or whatever, I always think they're really cheesy because the way they hang out and talk and like, hey bro, like blah blah blah. But that soccer game we played, it's like the only time I was like, I don't mind this.
I think it was really handled probably best in that one.
Was that FIFA?
I think it was FIFA.
Yeah, I was like playing through that. I'm like, this just feels like I'm being recruited. It's not like, I don't know. It's weird. Anyway,
you didn't have some guy coming up to you and like giving you some weird like secret handshake.
Yeah, or like a bunch of people dressed like an Ubisoft game. Anyway.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have much more to add to that.
I got some stuff to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if anything comes to mind, just kind of hop in. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I played this game for maybe like 4 hours. If I'm being honest, there's a couple things about it I like and a couple things I don't like about it. The first thing I want to bring up is this game for me personally. If you like it, I'm happy that you like it. I'm not even saying I dislike it, but this game suffers from something that most EA games suffer from, and that is the dev is forced to make the game on Frostbite. This game doesn't feel like it should exist on Frostbite. I think every car felt robotic when you drive it. It feels like they're trying to emulate car physics in a weird way. Whereas you play other games, it feels like there's weight to the car when you turn, the way it moves on the road, the way the suspension moves, or whatever, give or take. Gran Turismo is really good at that. Forza Horizon's really good at that. But this, it felt like every car was just like simulating how a car moves. And of course, every video game is doing that, but some games are doing it in a way that I'm not thinking about it. It just feels right. But in this, like when you turn, it feels stiff, but if you turn long enough, you always get the same sliding movement. It's very systematic. It's very mechanical and robotic feeling. So I guess you can always depend on how the car is going to move, but it doesn't feel like you're really merging the way your car's weight and physics move on terrain. It's more so like you're on a flat plane and the buttons do what they do every single time the same way. It just feels really weird. And I think that is because it's on Frostbite, because EA is like, years ago, that's a good looking engine. Everything is on Frostbite now. And devs have complained about that for a long time. And playing this reminded me that was something EA shouldn't be doing. In my opinion, just use Unreal or something. That seems to not be as apparent. So yeah, with that being said, the game looks pretty good. I think there's the city's fine. It's not the best or worst. It feels very vacant. It feels like some kind of catastrophe happened and there's no one there anymore. But it's fine because it's about the racing. And the racing, outside of what I just complained about with the mechanical racing, is decent. It's got the Forza Horizon thing going on where like you drive up to events, you activate them and you just go. One thing I really do like is when you look at the map and you highlight an event, it actually shows you the race, where you're going to be driving on the map. And that was a really nice little touch to kind of like know what you're getting into without having to go into a menu, click on the race, and then it tells you. It's just like it preemptively tells you like, do you want to do this race? And it's really clear about what are events, what are side things you can do, what are the main story line missions you can do. So I do appreciate it's very easy to get around and understand what's going on. Not that it wouldn't be, but they did a good job with that. I really like the transition screens on the loading screens. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but like when you're upgrading your car, customizing it, which I'll get into, it reminds you constantly of like how cool your car is looking and these like really cool lighting and the engine shines there. The car looks really good in the lighting that it does in the loading screens between things. And you always are kind of reminded of how cool your car is starting to turn out. You of course see that when you're driving as well, but I kind of like that they emphasize showing off your car to you. So races are decent. The races, a lot of them were pretty fun. Good mix of, sharp turns, whatever, like a typical racing game. Don't care about the story. I've already kind of emphasized that already. I have no interest in it, and that's not even an insult. It's not even a thing to that game specifically. It's most games like this. I don't care about the story at all. I just want to race. I think the day and night thing is a really cool idea.
I agree.
In fact, if the cars felt better when you drive them, I think it would have bumped this up quite a bit for me because that's my biggest complaint about it. It's kind of the biggest thing of the game, so it's kind of a problem for me. But that's a really cool system. I was kind of impressed with that because you go back to like home base or like garages or whatever, do your thing, and then when you leave, you get to decide if you want to start it day or night. And I really like that risk versus reward thing. I'm a fan of risk versus reward in any game. I like that you can get the benefit of doing this at a cost if you fail, and there's something really fun about that. Customization's good. It's not the best ever, but it's actually pretty decent. I was going through some of the customization when it comes to performance upgrades. There's a lot of options there that you do feel for sure because your car feels like shit when you first get it. But also just visual stuff. A lot of stuff you can do there. A lot of paint job stuff. I appreciate that. And with Need for Speed Underground, way back in the day, the one everyone loved, having a bunch of customization. I feel like the legacy of Need for Speed demands good customization. I think they met that. So honestly, it's funny. I'm like, I have a lot of positive things to say about this game outside of I didn't like driving, because that was definitely good. Let's see, races are good. The map is good. Menus are good, minimal. I really like the night and day system. I like the reputation, XP gain, and the money gain. It gives you a lot of options. Almost feels like you're strategizing a bit. Customization is good. I like getting chased by cops in games. So I do like that feature. There was a race I was doing. I completely forgot I was playing a Need for Speed game. I was just racing like I do at night. And then all of a sudden on the radio, it's like, blah, 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 blah. Get this guy. And I was like, oh, they're going to interrupt the race. And the thing I like too is even if you finish the race and the cops are chasing after you, it's seamless. It's like they're still after you.
Yeah.
You got to keep going. And it's like, oh shit, you finished the race, but you got to lose these guys.
Them, yeah.
And it only gets crazier the longer you go. So you got to like try and get rid of them. I didn't think about ramming them for a while, but then I was like, wait, why don't I just like hit these guys?
I like how you're just trying to be like a criminal with morals.
I was just trying to outrace them. I was like, I'll race you too, motherfucker. But eventually I was like, they're going to take my money. And so I started slamming them into stuff. And that was actually a lot of fun. That was probably some of the most fun I had. Makes me miss Burnout. So that was pretty cool. And I like that, the tension's high already because you're racing, but then that happens and you're like, I don't want to lose the race. Then you win the race. You're like, I don't want to lose my money. Yeah. And so it gets kind of stressful, and I kind of really dug that. Yeah, weather effects were decent. I was kind of impressed with the rain effect when you're driving because it looks like the rain's flying at the screen. It's not just like this downward effect. It's like in it, you can tell it's frostbite. It looks like I was playing Battlefield. Like all this rain's just whipping in the air and flying at the screen stuff. And I was like, it's a pretty good effect. So, yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say here though. I liked the game, but I didn't like playing it. Like there's a lot of things about it I really dug, but every car I tried, and I only drove like 3 cars, but they all felt different in like the speed and all that stuff, but they all felt the same in the sense of like their relationship as an object in this game and with where I'm driving always felt not not convincing enough as they should. I had the same problem playing the Crew 2. I was like really excited about the Crew 2 when it came out. I bought it and I think it's the last game I ever like returned physically. I was like, I don't want this because the cars just did not like, I was convinced like you could never flip one of these cars. There's no real physics here. This is just like weird, mechanical arcadey. Like it just felt awful, but kind of the same thing. I think the Crew 2 is honestly worse than this, but I just don't like it. I need to feel the weight of the car when I'm driving. That's why I like Gran Turismo. And this just does not have that. But other than that, really cool ideas. I would like to see another Need for Speed pretty much take all these ideas that they already got and put less emphasis on the story and then make good feeling racing. And I think they'd have a really solid arcade racer. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add to that?
Not really.
No? Okay. I guess we can just jump into recommendations then, because that's all I have to say on it.
Okay.
I would recommend it to anyone who's into arcade racers who has played plenty of Forza Horizon series and needs to play something else. Because if you haven't played Forza Horizon, I would recommend that first. But if you've done that already, I would recommend this to you. If you're somebody who misses Need for Speed, I'm not even going to say Need for Speed fans. If you miss Need for Speed with the cops chasing after you, this is going to give you that experience with some cool caveats when it comes to deciding when and where to race and if you want to take on those challenges. So I would recommend that to you as well. If you're somebody who likes to customize your cars and upgrade them and stuff like that, oddly enough, there's plenty of racing games still that don't offer a whole lot of that. So I would recommend this to you. I think that's it.
It's a racing game, dude. Like, it's
It's
hard for me to think
but
outside of that.
I wouldn't recommend this to like a sim racer fan because it's not that. But yeah, pretty much like it's a racing game. It's just not like a high priority, top priority racing game. But it's not bad.
No, yeah, I'm not saying that. I just it's gonna be hard for me to get too creative with recommendations because I'm kind of like outside of my interests. Like I'm not into cars or racing games, so yeah, they all kind of fit into the same genre for me for the most part. So
yeah. Any other recommendations?
no.
Okay. I'll grade it first. I'm really conflicted because the things I really like about it I think deserve one area and the driving I think deserves something else. So I'm gonna go with a confused B minus. I feel like I should give it a C range grade because of how much I did not like the driving, but it's got a lot of features that I don't see in other games that I kind of would like to see in other games. And I think it's cool they even thought that stuff up. If there's another game that does exactly what this game's doing, let me know. I could try that out as well. But so I got to balance it. It wasn't the worst driving I've ever felt, but I just didn't enjoy it. It was serviceable, but the other features were really cool. So a soft B minus.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of said in the beginning, and I'll reiterate it now. The game it's fine. I think it's a bit above average when it comes to the genre.
That's fair.
So I would also give it a B minus.
All right, 2 B minuses. Let us know in the comments, what did you guys think of Need for Speed Heat? Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you didn't like it, why didn't you like it? Did you play it? If you didn't play it, why didn't you play it? And if you did play it and liked it, what did you like about it? What are some of your favorite features? What do you think about the way the cars feel? Maybe you do like the way they feel, and that's cool. Or maybe you know what I'm talking about. What do you think about EA forcing all their devs to use Frostbite? Do you think that's a good thing? And yeah, let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Need for Speed Heat. The second game we played this month was TOEM. I think that's how you say it. Is it TOEM? TOEM? Which is a photography game. It's a really interesting perspective. It's black and white. It's top down, kind of. It's kind of top down. But when you use your camera, it goes into first person because the top-down perspective is actually in 3D. So you take your pictures in first person in a top-down world. And yeah, I think it has something to do about like you're trying to go to the top of a mountain.
Trying to take a picture of an object that happens to be at the top of a mountain.
Yeah. And so you're set out with your camera. You run around talking with random NPCs that have different tasks for you to complete. From, hey, go find these mushrooms in this bush or whatever and get pictures of them, bring them back to me, to there's monsters in these woods, find them and take pictures of them for me. I want to see them. There's ghosts in this house, all this kind of stuff, all this fun photography stuff that really makes you want to go out and take these pictures. And yeah, it also features random items that you get from other NPCs that, or just NPCs, that change the way you play the game in different ways and allow you access to certain things. You can also interact with a lot of things. This game is definitely like a kind of an atmospheric vibe game where you can just like slide down slides, get on sit on a bench or like, just interact with things around the world. There's a lot of charm in that regard. And yeah, is there anything I'm missing really? It's a photography game. You take pictures.
An adventure game.
It's a top-down adventure game meets Pokemon Snap kind of game.
Yes.
Yeah. We both played it. I think you beat it, but I'll let you talk about that.
Well, so to start with my impressions, I platinumed it.
I was going to go with my impressions first.
Oh, go ahead.
But you platinumed it, you beat it. I did not beat it. I played it for a couple hours, and honestly, I really liked this game. In case you don't know, I am definitely a photography and camera fan. I have like 12 cameras. I love taking pictures. And so this game really worked for me. The thing I dig about it is the adventure's fun. I think there's a lot of really good charm to it. I think the characters are really neat. The humor's there when you talk to these characters that say a lot of goofy stuff. But I really like that you get this overhead view of the world you're exploring, which is kind of interesting the way it's set up. It's like these blocked areas with walkways to the next areas. But the photographer in me enjoyed composing my shots in this 3D realm that's top down otherwise. So they'd be like, oh, take a picture, blah, 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 blah. And I would actually find myself walking top down in where I thought the best position would be to get the picture. It doesn't matter. As long as it's in the picture, it'll count typically. It'll actually show you, it's almost like an autofocus, the object that you're going to get something for if you take the picture of, which I'm glad it communicated that well. But, my dork brain, I'm just like, I got to get a cool picture though. So like I'd like get in position, make sure that somebody in the foreground's fully framed, and in the background, there's got to be something to, highlight my subject and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed that aspect. I know a lot of games have like photography modes, photo modes, which I like to dabble a little bit with, but in those games I just want to play the game. But this game being a photography game, I just was only taking pictures, and I kind of really liked that. The game's not like too challenging. It's definitely just like an experience game, which I really enjoyed. I also, like I said, the creativity and freedom to take the pictures the way you want to. It allows a lot of ways to do that. I really enjoyed that as well. I already kind of said before, the characters are charming. There's a lot of goofy characters that you talk to that have dorky things to say, and they send you on little adventures talking to other people who are doing weird dorky things. That's fun. There's also like little situations, like for instance, there was a dude I walked up to that had like cups, and he put something on her. He's like, hey, you want to guess where where this thing's going, and you start like swapping them around, and then you pick the one, and it's really easy at first. He's like, oh, you're pretty good. Let's do it again. And he does it faster, and then the third time he does it even faster. And it's like these little things that just kind of like are all these like little distractions that keep you in the game and just kind of like entertain the whole time, which I thought was pretty cool. And yeah, regrettably, I did not finish this game. I feel like I'm gonna. It's got to be pretty short.
Yeah, I feel like I was kind of slow on it. It took me about 5.5 hours.
Yeah. I figured it'd be like a 4 or 5 hour game for sure. Because I only played it for a couple hours, and I was like, this game's not going to be that long. Which is great. I always appreciate like a nice short little complete game, especially when it comes to indies. I don't expect them to be like super long. Like when I played Stray and finished that, short and sweet, perfect. And this kind of felt like that kind of experience of just get in, get out, enjoy yourself, and I appreciated that. But yeah, I kind of figured I was going to like this game, and I liked it more than I thought I was going to like it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Didn't really have any expectations going into the game. So when I started playing it, I spent quite a lot of the time, specifically with like the first 2 zones, just because I was just trying to get a feel of the game and whatnot. But as I was going through it, it definitely kind of hit the right part of my brain, because I found myself wanting to do all the side quests, to get all the stickers. You know, you only need so many of them to get your bus ticket to go to the next place, but there's more than that quantity in every zone, so you can be a completionist if you want to. It also has different photo albums, like one for animals, so you can take a picture of every animal in the game, and you'll get the picture because it won't take up a photo slot. It'll actually fill in that animal photo book, which I think was a kind of a neat feature too, especially because sometimes someone will ask you for a picture of an animal as one of the quests, and you can just go into that book and go, oh, it's right here.
Yeah, I kind of got in the habit of anytime I saw something new, I just take a picture of it.
Yeah, which is a good idea anyways. I love that the rewards for a lot of stuff, or even just sometimes for exploration, is like clothing items.
Wet socks.
That's a very early one, but yeah. And it's also interesting that some quests won't even function without wearing the right outfits and stuff like that. So there's a lot of thought that was put into the game, and I think that's probably what kept me playing it, was that I could feel that they really had this idea they wanted to go with, and we're trying to make a fun experience. Like even doing like the ghost or the monster quests, you couldn't complete them in the zone you got them in. You had to go to further zones to complete those, and then backtrack to talk to the guys or the quest givers, or I guess the ghost and then the creepy dude in the hotel. But and then they would eventually give you stuff when you finish, which was great. The other thing I like too is it feels like you're on a journey. You're in a small town. You go to a little bit bigger area. It's kind of naturey. Then you're in a city. Mm-hmm. Then you're in the mountains, and the mountains is a 2-part thing. So,
okay, yeah, I never got to the mountains. I got to the beginning of the city.
You get all these cool, neat little tools as well to get through the zones. Like eventually get a horn that you attach to your camera. So like there'll be a bunch of like birds blocking a path, and you just honk at them, and they'll fly away out of your way and stuff like that. Or if someone's sleeping, you can wake them up with it, type of thing. Mm-hmm. There's filters, both as a quest, but also for one quest, this guy wants you to like take pictures of muddy things, but then they throw mud on your camera. So when you take pictures, there's just these blobs everywhere on it. But then there's another quest where there's a guy who's like obsessed with cleaning dirty things, and you hand him your camera and he cleans it off to get rid of that effect. It also finishes that quest. So.
Yeah, that's kind of the creative charm that I really enjoy about the game. Is you can tell they're having fun with, like, they had the idea and they executed it perfectly, but then like it's got this fun flair to it that like the game doesn't take itself serious in any way. And and you just want to make sure, like, if you're playing this game, I would say like make sure you're like taking your time with certain parts of it too, because sometimes events are happening, but they're like timed, or they're based off like how far away you are and stuff like that. So it's all really neat.
I think it's definitely a cool experience game. I love the perspective and the art style of it. At first, I honestly wasn't really into it, but as I played it, it grew on me quite a bit. So, yeah. Yeah, and I found, when I was playing it, I just wanted to keep playing it. I think I beat it in 2 sittings. So, is there anything else I really liked about it? Once you take the picture you're supposed to take, I also like how it kind of just comes back around to, basically in the beginning of the game, I think it's your grandmother shows you a sneak peek. You the player don't get to see it, but the character gets to see, the objective. And then she closes the book quick. She's like, you gotta go take it yourself to see the thing, better. So, and then you come back and you're like, I got the picture, and that's the game pretty much. So, so neat little adventure. Is it deep? Not really, but there definitely was like a story and an experience to go through. So,
Yeah, the story's pretty basic, but it doesn't need one to really get across what they're trying to do. So, which is go take pictures and have fun adventures. Anything else?
No.
All right, short and sweet. Let's jump into recommendations then.
Okay.
Will you start? I feel like Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, I mean that's probably fair to be honest.
Yeah.
I would say, obviously if you're a person who's like into like, indie games.
Yeah.
This is one of those games.
And the experiences the indie games can offer, because AAA games not going to offer this.
No, this would be too risky of an investment for a AAA.
Just too much money would be involved in making a game that's this.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
I think if you like, how do I word this? Games where you're kind of going through and doing like quirky tasks that have some element of puzzle to them, but aren't like overly complicated, just enough to keep your brain kind of active. I think this is a good game for that. Yeah, I'm drawing a huge blank. Adventure games, just going like
For sure.
on an adventure from point A to point B type of deal. Yeah, my brain's not working right now. Go ahead.
If you're a fan of photography, I would say it's a game for you, because it's a game about photography. It's not like super deep. You're not going to be like doing a lot of like camera stuff, but it is a fun little game where you get to take pictures, which is a lot of fun. So if you're into that, definitely would recommend it to you. You already said adventure game, but I'm going to reemphasize that. It's an adventure game first and foremost. Pokemon Snap, if you ever enjoyed any of the iterations of that, check this out, because there's not a whole lot of games that are like about taking pictures like this. If you like the photo mode in games, this game is the photo mode, so check it out. If you like quirky indie games, kind of already went over that, but I'm going to emphasize like a quirky game that's like kind of goofy and fun. Something, there's so many games out there that are like big, epic story, serious stuff, realistic stuff. And like this game is just like, hey, dude, like go on an adventure, take some pictures, and talk to a lot of interesting people. That's the game. If that sounds interesting to you, I'd recommend it to you. And I think that's maybe loosely, if you're into not the gameplay, but the idea of like the Metroidvania system where you get things, or maybe Zelda system where you get things and come back and do things that you couldn't do before. It kind of has that feel to a little extent, because there's like certain items you'll get from characters that give you access to doing things that you couldn't do before. Not in its gameplay, of course, that it's like those games, but you get what I'm saying. And yeah, I think that, you feel like black and white games. I don't know if there's people out there who have a preference on that, but it's black and white, and it's cool looking. So, but yeah, that's all I got. All right. I think I went with my impressions first, so go ahead and grade it.
All right. I'm going to give it, honestly, I think my only complaint is I wish it was a little bit longer, and it had a little more multi-zone quests, because I thought those were really neat. But it was, I had a good time with it, and it's just one of the few times I beat a game completely. So I think I'm gonna have to give it an A-.
All right. Yeah, I kind of want to give it that too, but I think I'm going to go with a B plus just because I haven't finished the game. So I don't know. I haven't got to experience what you're saying with like the way it loops or whatever, or the ending, stuff like that, and I haven't got the full experience of the quests or whatever. But the game is really cool, really charming. I really enjoyed it, and like I said, I like photography, so I enjoy that aspect of it. And so I'm gonna give it a strong B plus, and I definitely think it is a really cool game that I'm glad I played because it was legit, didn't even exist to me. I'd never even heard about this game before, and even if I did, I didn't pay attention to it. I'm like, yeah, whatever, it's a black and white game, cool. And yeah, so having to play it because of this channel and my obligation to that, this is one of the reasons why I like PlayStation Plus. Is I get to play games sometimes that are completely off my radar, and I get to discover a game that I probably would have never played because I never even had this game recommended to me. Nothing, never even heard of it. So yeah, really cool game. B plus. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments what you guys think of TOEM or TOEM, however you say it. What did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you liked it, what did you like about it? If you didn't like it, what didn't you like about it? And if you didn't play it, why didn't you play it? And what do you think of photography in games? Do you do a lot of that? I know some people will spend like hours taking pictures in games. In photo modes. I know MMOs for sure people do that a lot, but even like Ghost of Tsushima, that game's begging you to take pictures. And did you enjoy the photography aspect of TOEM? And what game has the best photo mode? Let me know what you're thinking about in the comments below. Last game we played this month was Granblue Fantasy Versus, which I am told is a fighting game based off of a mobile game.
A browser gotcha game.
Okay. Because playing this game, I have no idea who anyone is. But I have played the game, and I know it is a fighting game. And it's a fighting game like a lot of fighting games. It has a arcade mode. It has just the versus mode where you can just go against whoever you want. The arcade mode's more like you got to fight people. It has an interesting system, though, where you pick the difficulty of the enemy you're going to fight, and then when you finish that fight, it asks if you want to fight another person of that difficulty, a lighter difficulty, which is a completely different character, or it has a third character you can go fight who's on a harder difficulty. And so you can kind of like augment your experience as you're fighting through an arcade, which is very interesting. And then it also has an RPG mode where you play through a story that I assume has something to do with the actual Granblue fantasy game, where it's almost like set up like a brawler where you are put into areas where you can walk left and right and fight enemies in every direction, but it still maintains the fighting game combo system, but it does allow you to use abilities and moves and upgrade your gear, get new gear, and get partners to go with you. And it has co-op that I could not find anyone to do that with. And yeah, it's got a pretty big roster of characters I've never heard of. And yeah, we both played it. So let's jump into your impressions of Granblue Fantasy Versus.
Okay, well, this is a game that I had kind of eyeballed, since its announcement, but never ever pulled the trigger on it. I have very, very shortly tried the browser-based gotcha game of it. Wasn't really for me, but I love the art style, which was a huge draw for me. It kind of gives me like Final Fantasy Tactics vibes in a way. I think the character designs are really neat, especially like being able to see them like animated in the game the way they were. There's a lot of creativity in these characters, and I think that's really neat. I think the game is very feature rich, which is great because a lot of fighters are kind of just cut and dry. Like, here's the arcade mode, here's the training room, here's the versus online. There you go, you're done. Like, this is what you get. And though that does work for probably, I'd honestly would say the majority of the fighting game community, I think in order to get more casual players to come play your fighting games, you do need to offer more than that, because maybe 1 out of every 100 of those casuals becomes a hardcore player. So pulling numbers out of my ass here, but you get the point.
You get the idea, yeah.
So that being said, I was kind of disappointed in this game for a couple reasons. The first one is and I know why they do it, because this is their attempt at getting the casual gamers, but I hate one button supers. I think it removes part of the skill of playing a fighting game. And I'm not even a hardcore player. I would consider myself absolutely a casual when it comes to fighting games. But I do enjoy the challenge of like putting the commands in to get the combos at the right times. And if you make a mistake, it was a human error problem. And I think the one button thing kind of ruins that. If you like it, to each their own. It's just not for me.
I thought it was interesting that at least in the RPG mode, you can execute abilities or your moves the typical traditional fighting game way of like, down, forward, whatever. Or you can hold a button and then just press a direction.
Yes.
And you can execute the exact same move.
Yeah, but it was
like an ability. But as an RPG, it didn't really bother me. But that just kind of reminded me of that when you're talking about one button.
Well, and they have cooldowns too. If you look underneath your hit point bar, there's timers until you can reuse them, type of deal. Also, the one button super is at, I believe, the medium strength, and you can still do the higher strength version of them by putting in the commands. Excuse me. Let's see. The RPG mode I think is a really neat idea, but I absolutely hated playing it. I don't like the brawler style thing they went for there. I don't think it feels good. Yeah, and then I guess my other complaint about the game is all but maybe like 2 characters feel exactly the same to me. Like their move sets are pretty much identical.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a bummer. And I realize there's only so many things you can do, but if Street Fighter and Guilty Gear and all these other guys can do it, so can you. And I was a little kind of bummed out by that. So, yeah, I really wanted to like it, but honestly, I was kind of disappointed. So.
Interesting. I agree with most of what you're saying. So yeah, just so you guys know where I'm at, I played the arcade mode for a little bit, played some characters there that I can't name off at all, and then I played the RPG mode. That being said, with no knowledge of anything of this brand at all, I really like the art style. I think the character design's good. I was actually like looking at the characters. I'm like, these are all pretty cool looking characters. I kind of dig this. I think the aesthetic of the game is cool, and the music was almost Soul Calibur-esque, so I kind of dug that. It was very like fantasy and whimsical, which I dug. I was impressed with a lot of things, but the fighting itself felt kind of stiff. The animations were really good, but the momentum of movement met with combos felt like I was kind of pausing a lot. You can, run in this, which I appreciate because some fighting games you can't run and it drives me fucking insane. But I did feel like if I was like an inch away from somebody and I went to swing and they just moved back a little bit, like I was just like stuck there and I'd have to stop, attacking or jump to get closer to them. It just felt kind of clunky. But not horrible. It just slightly off the it just wasn't that great feeling. There's definitely much better fighting games out there. But for this being like, out of nowhere, its own thing, I think they did a pretty good job on it. That being said, with how clunky it feels, I think the animations are really well done. I think I was really impressed with whatever character you're playing. When you enter a fight with another character, they have something different to say to every single character. And when you beat them, they have something to say about every single character. I was like, that's kind of crazy that they have like this much. And I don't know what they're referring to. They kept saying stuff like, oh, that's blah, 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 doing blah, blah, blah again. I'm like, I don't know anything about who you are, who they are.
Right.
So this is like completely falling flat on me. But I really appreciated like that attention to details. Like they put a lot of, like they must care about Granblue Fantasy because they put a lot of work into building these characters up and making them feel like they existed in this world. So I really appreciated that. And I think the arcade system was really interesting. I've never played a fighting game that allowed you to, after you win a fight, decide who you want to fight next at what difficulty randomly. Is a very interesting system. I don't know if I want that in every fighting game, but like I was like, this is interesting. I've never seen this before. So let's talk about the RPG part of the game, which I thought was the most interesting. The arcade is typical and its own thing, but to have like an RPG mode, the only other game I can think of that does something like that is Soul Calibur, the most recent one, which has its own RPG mode, but it's definitely set up differently. And I don't mind the brawler aspect of it. I thought that was actually kind of interesting, and I really wanted to try a co-op because I was like, this is Streets of Rage almost. Like I'm kind of into that, but met with the clunky movement and combat and the way it feels kind of sticky. It's not super enjoyable, but I didn't mind it. My problem with the RPG is it felt repetitive. There's a story happening, which I really appreciated. I thought it was kind of cool. It was kind of unfolding. I wasn't paying attention because I was like, I don't know these characters. I don't know anything about their past or anything like that. None of the lore. So the story you're telling me with these people going like, oh, it's you, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you just betrayed me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know anything about any of you guys. But I appreciate they built that story. But when you're doing missions, you're repeating a lot of the same stages over and over again. I know it's a fighting game, so like they just built stages and then they're having you fight on the stages for the story. But I feel like I played like 6 different missions and they're all in the exact same stage, fighting a lot of the same enemy over and over and over again. And that was fine, but I could see if I played like for another hour, I would get bored quickly. So it's a really cool effort, and I think it's a great idea. Kind of like what I was saying with like Need for Speed Heat. Good ideas. The execution's off. I'd like to see them attempted again. Because I was like, this could potentially be something I really want to play. It's just not, which is weird. So yeah, don't mind the brawling. The combat was fun for the most part, except for sticky. I did like that it felt like an RPG in the sense that like I got like a healing move and a attack damage increase that I could use while in these missions. I liked that you get gear and you can equip new gear and upgrade the gear. It was never exciting. It was just increasing your stats, really. I'm sure that changes later. You could also, I think, equip things per mission, like temporary, like one-use items. I think that was a thing. I think I remember that. And yeah, it has you can bring like a partner with you too. Later in the story, you get somebody who joins your party, which I think is pretty cool. Again, I unlocked the co-op, which I had no idea this game had. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh shit, you can play this with somebody? That's kind of cool. And it's like, search for a party member. And I hit that button and I waited and 15 minutes passed. I was like, there's nobody playing this game co-op. I assume a lot of people probably just hop in and play the arcade though, or try and play online versus people.
I think with how old the game is, they're probably just playing online versus people.
Well, even it came out on PlayStation Plus though, so you figure there'd be like a influx.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah.
But it was the end of the month.
Yeah. So I was hoping maybe some recent experts of the game would want to hop in and go like, oh, I'm max level. Here's a new guy. I'll just carry him. Nobody. I didn't find anybody. So I didn't get to try out the co-op. And from what I've heard, the netcode in this game is like non-existent. So I think it's this game we were talking about.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I've heard that from other places too. So wasn't expecting much from that, but it would have been cool to have tried that out. Yeah, so this game has a lot of things that I think is surprisingly good in quality. But it falls short in some ways. Again, combat feels sticky, and RPG feels repetitive after a while. And I played only for a couple hours, so that's not too great. So overall, I enjoyed the game, but I don't know if I'm going to come back to it. I would like to see a second one though, and I would like to see them improve the formula because I think they could make something really great out of this. They just didn't this time. So hopefully we get a second one.
I think if it's going to happen, it's probably the time to do it since we're kind of in a surge of fighting games right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to compete soon with two really huge fighting games though.
yeah.
With Tekken and Street Fighter. I mean, like, you don't really get bigger than that.
No, and I think Guilty Gear still has growth happening. So, it's kind of crazy.
And Soul Calibur's in limbo.
For now.
I would love a new one, but I'm waiting for Tekken, so I'm good. I'm actually interested in the new Street Fighter.
I am too. I'm not the biggest Street Fighter fan.
I'm not either. And I'm looking at that, I'm like, it's a pretty
it's
good looking
pretty
game.
good.
Yeah. So I might just have to reevaluate if I'm a Street Fighter fan or not, because I have to do that every once in a while. Because I remember when I was a kid, I was like, Street Fighter 2 is amazing, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And then, Street Fighter Alpha, all that shit. And then, eventually, like 4 and 5, I was like, I don't know if I like Street Fighter. I don't know if this is for me. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad game. It's just, this isn't my fighting game. Okay. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, Granblue Fantasy versus great effort. Fall short. Anything else?
No.
All right, so let's jump into recommendations. If you're a fighting game fan, I think it's worth checking this game out. Like, plain and simple.
Agreed.
You like fighting games, this deserves your attention. It's not a bad game. It's just not as good as, like, the top dogs in fighting.
Yeah, I should probably put that out there. As much as I complained, it's not a bad game.
No.
It's just not a me game.
It just doesn't meet the standard and quality and the gameplay that I want from a fighting game. I guess I'm just spoiled because there's really good ones out there. But this isn't. I've played worse fighting games. There's like indie fighting games I've played that don't play as well as this, and obviously it's because they don't have the budget. But I think it's a good effort. So yeah, if you want to play a fighting game and you haven't played this one and you're looking for something new, fresh, and different, I think this would be it. I assume if you're a Granblue Fantasy fan, whatever that is, and you haven't played this, I feel like you should check it out because I feel like they explore the characters you probably know better than me in some fun ways because I don't even know who these people are. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but like there's a lot of character here with these characters, so that's interesting. If you like loosely like Streets of Rage style brawlers, I think the RPG mode might offer you something, even if you like Dragon's Crown maybe. And if you don't know what that is, look it up. You might like this. It's got an interesting, you don't like walk forward and backward on the plane, but you do walk back and forth in like a fighting game stage and fight a bunch of dudes or animals or whatever.
You fight things.
You fight stuff. So you might dig it. And if you like the idea of a 2D perspective fighting game RPG where you level up and upgrade your stuff, you might like this as well. I think that's all I got.
Anime games. If you like anime games.
If you like anime games, for sure. Also, if you like cat dudes who talk like Shui Bros, I forgot what they're called, something fam, you might dig this game because those guys are ridiculous. They're saying some pretty adult stuff too. I was kind of surprised. So I don't know who this game's for. I don't know anything about Granblue Fantasy. I'm like really confused. I feel like I've like
you can go to the website, make an account in 2 seconds, and start playing.
I feel like I stepped into a universe that's existed and I just have no idea about it. I'm just like, where the fuck am I, dude?
It's pretty popular in Japan.
I don't belong here. What do you do?
It's like a mobile game, but it's just not on mobile. It's a web browser based gacha game.
I feel like I gotta look it up after this. And yeah, so anything else? Any more recommendations?
No.
Okay, so you did your impressions first, so I'll grade it. This is tough. I think I'm gonna give it a B- as well. I don't think I could give it a C because I don't think it's. I think it does some stuff that's really neat. It just falls flat in its combat, which is like Need for Speed Heat, important to a fighting game. You're gonna want to have good combat in a game, and it just feels kind of clunky. I do agree too that all the characters, or a lot of them, feel very similar. It feels like they were pushing for the RPG first and the arcade second.
Yeah.
Which is weird. but it's got quality. The character models are really good. It's full of voice acting and a lot of lore that's being expanded upon with the characters talking to each other. And it offers an arcade mode and an RPG mode, which, if you're okay with repetition, you could probably play that and enjoy that for hours, and then just play the fighting game when you want to play the fighting game. So I appreciate those options. I just was never really digging the fights. I was just getting through them, and that's kind of a bummer. Because I play like Dead or Alive or Soul Calibur. I'm like in it. I'm trying to like beat that dude. And in this, I was like, all right, we'll get through this and see what happens. And I don't want to feel like that when I'm playing a fighting game. So, very light B-.
I don't think there's anything actually wrong with the game, but I do think it has a lot of weaknesses. So I'm going to give it C+. I think it is definitely above average, but barely. I think, and the only reason I'm actually being kind of harsh on it is there's just so much competition that this game really just falls underneath almost all of them, in my opinion. Again, I'm not trying to be like, I don't think it's a bad game. Don't take that as like I think it's bad. It's just there's so many other fighting games I would play over this.
It doesn't stack up.
That I don't think I'll even remember this game after a while. So.
Yeah, I feel like if you're like a Granblue fantasy fan, this game would probably resonate a little harder for you and you'd overlook some things more. But because it's like alien to me, I'm just kind of like looking at them like this alien thing's like pretty impressive looking, but it's not that great to play. So, kind of weird.
Yeah. That's
2 games for me this month that I felt like, fell short in the gameplay department, which is kind of weird. But I appreciated things about it. It's a really weird thing. All right, so C+ and a B-. I almost went C+, but the things I appreciate about it, I appreciate. So, anything else?
Nope.
All right, let us know in the comments what you guys think of Granblue Fantasy Versus. Did you play? Did you not play it? And what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? Are you a fan of Granblue Fantasy? And if you are, what did you think of this game? Does that kind of shape your perspective differently, maybe? Who's your favorite character? I would tell you mine, but I don't know any of them. Or really much about that. I don't know. But if you got a favorite, one you'd recommend me try, let me know. And what's your favorite fighting game? What's your favorite fighting game?
Guilty Gear.
Soul Calibur. I also love Guilty Gear, though. And I think it's going to do it for this episode of Plus Club for September. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on our socials and streams. Links down below. Check out our Discord, link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and the podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us in audio form. And we have a Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel more than liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, if you're brand new, I have a TikTok, and you can check that out. It's Tasty Senpai, Tasty Loot Gaming, one of the two. Just search that. You'll find me. I make original content there. I'm going to try.
You should just link it.
I should. Yeah. For a while there, I was like, I'm not going to bring the TikTok up, and now I'm on it all the time. So I'm like, I should just do that. And if you're here this late in the video, though, quick reminder that this is one of the last videos, or the last video. You're going to be able to vote for Community Pick Game of the Month. So make sure to do that. Just type in a game in the comments below, and it'll be put on a list, and we will figure that out on Game of the Month, which will be out tomorrow, where we will be discussing The Last of Us Part 2 and figuring out what game you guys picked for us to play in October. So look forward to that. I've been Seth. Thank you for joining me, Chevy. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a good one, guys, and take it easy.